It is possible to save a selection in Revit so that you can quickly load it later in order to make modifications or create a filter. It could take time to select exactly the elements you want, so it makes sense to save that selection as a selection set. Then, that selection can be loaded at any time to isolate, hide, or use the Modify tools to copy or move the elements. The selection set can also be used to create a filter and apply graphics settings for the elements in the selection. Let's use a window to select everything in this model. Then select the Filter tool in the Selection panel of the contextual ribbon. Click Check None to deselect all the categories and then select Duct Fittings, Ducts, and Mechanical Equipment. Then click OK to close the Filter dialog. Back in the Selection panel of the contextual ribbon, click the Save Selection tool to open the Save Selection dialog. I will name this selection AHU-1 and then click OK. Click in blank space to deselect everything. Now if I want to quickly select that same group of elements, I can load that selection set. First, I'll open the default 3D view by double-clicking the view in the project browser. Then I'll navigate to the Manage ribbon and click the Load Selection tool from the Selection panel. A Retrieve Filters dialog appears with the selection set we just created. I'll select the AHU-1 set and choose OK. Notice that the selection set is now highlighted in this view, and all the elements are selected. At this point, we can move or copy the elements we previously selected to be associated with the selection set. I'll press Escape to deselect the selection set and move back to the Level 1 view. If we decide to add elements to a selection set or remove elements from a set, this can be easily accomplished. Simply select the Edit Selection tool from the Selection panel on the Manage ribbon. Then select AHU-1 and choose Edit. Revit goes into Edit Selection Set mode. The screen goes dim and all of the elements are faded except for the elements in the selection set. In the contextual ribbon, we have tools to add to selection and remove from selection. I'll select the Remove from Selection tool and then select the large duct to remove it from the selection set. As you can see, the element becomes faded as soon as it is removed from the set. Once I'm finished, I'll select the Finish Selection button. On the Filters dialog, we also have the option to delete or rename selections. I'll click OK. Let's create another selection set. I'll use a window to select the panel boards and transformer in the northwest corner of the room. In the Selection panel of the contextual ribbon, I'll click the Save Selection tool. I'll name this selection Electrical and select OK. I'll press Escape to deselect the elements. Now I can load this selection set later to quickly select all of the electrical equipment, or I can use the selection set to create a filter. This would be considered a selection-based filter. Press VG on the keyboard to display the visibility graphic overrides for this view. Click on the Filters tab. As you can see, only the default filters appear in the list. Click Add and the Add Filters dialog displays. The selection sets we created display here and can be added as filters to this view. I'll select Electrical and then click OK. When the selection is added as a filter, you can control the visibility and graphics settings of that specific selection. In this case, we may wish to display the selected electrical equipment differently than the other elements, or we may not want to show them in this view. Creating a selection-based filter will allow you to control the visibility and graphic settings for specific selections, rather than trying to override each element. Click OK to close the dialog. Although these examples are simple, you can see that selection sets can be very useful throughout the design process. They can save you time and also add flexibility to the display of your documentation.